Welcome back to TheChowTimePod. It's your host, Red. I got a video today from Nessie.social. Decent sized channel. She's almost at 60K. Just talking about Passport Bros. She just thought it was a boy band, and then it's just too big of a movement. People are making songs about it now. More people have to talk about it. Let's see what her take is on Passport Bros. So she made a whole video on it. So please subscribe down below. I really appreciate that. And let's get that chow. It's chow time.
So I married a Japanese woman. She's absolutely awesome. Let me tell you the little story.
I love this
For
clip.
around 10 years, I was dating around in the West. A number of terrible relationships full of shit testing, shit talking, downright emotional abuse, really. My heart completely shut. I just couldn't open up to anyone anymore. Then I went to Japan, and within 3 months, I met my wife. She was just so caring, so supportive. She genuinely wished for me to feel happy. She was the one who finally managed to unlock my heart. I fell for her. I don't wonder at all why #Passport Bros exist.
Nobody
Hello,
does.
everyone.
At least us men on this side of things, we see it, we experience it, we've traveled, or at least some of us are going to travel, and you will see it. The difference of culture of women, how women treat men, culture of other races, culture of other countries.
A new viewer, welcome. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. If this is your second, third, fourth time watching one of my videos and you are not yet subscribed, we already go together. Make it official and hit that subscribe button. Today, we're going to be talking about the Passport Bros. So these are bros who are traveling abroad to try something new. And before I talk about them trying something new, I want to talk about something new that I have tried. If you're like me, then you like when things smell nice. And when I want to smell nice, I use one of my fragrances from Scentbird. And in the past, when I wanted my car to smell, a special thanks to Drift for sponsoring. I actually thought it was a boy band. Bang, bang, bang. I saw the name. I thought it was a boy band, and I mostly ignored it. But it's kind of hard to ignore it at this point. I mean, we're at the point now where J. Cole made a song called "The Passport Bros."
See, people are talking about oh, nobody knows about Passport Bros. Maybe for now. The song is out. The movement's growing. More and more new creators are creating videos on this topic. How do I know? I feature them almost every other day. This is something that will be a common knowledge for most people now soon, because there's not very many options for men. Not in the West, at least.
Urban Dictionary defines the Passport Bros as: the Passport Bros are men who have chosen to seek out foreign women, typically from other countries, for relationships. They believe that Western women have been influenced by cultural and societal pressures to behave in a certain way, and that by seeking out foreign women, they can find a more authentic, fulfilling, and harmonious relationship. This is seen as a way to restore the natural balance between masculine and feminine energy, and to avoid the wickedness of Western women. So this movement actually began back in 2011 when a filmmaker by the name Al Grease made a documentary called Frustrated, and the subject of the documentary was black men who were American and were frustrated with the dating scene in America, and so they went off to Brazil to find more feminine and Brazilian women. Fast forward to
More feminine and Brazilian women. I think, going to Brazil, you'll find more Brazilian women.
2023, and this movement has expanded, it's blown up, and it has become a very divisive subculture on the internet.
I mean, she's a little bit wrong. I mean, yes, that's probably where Passport Bros, the actual term, came from around that time. But the Passport Bros and digital nomads are just nomads that go home and, to go home and marry women and, wives. This has been happening for a very, very long time in U.S. history.
There are many people, especially women, who are disgusted by the Passport Bro movement.
That is correct.
And they basically see it as glorified sex tourism.
When you pay attention to the Passport Bros, they're getting women from the DR, Colombia, the Philippines, Thailand, women that can speak very little.
Again, always shout out to the Daily Wrap-Up crew for this particular clip. This is a good clip.
English, women that don't have education, women that need them.
I think it's very ignorant to assume that women in foreign countries don't speak English and that they are uneducated. And then on the flip side, there are people, including Western women, who understand where the passport bros are coming from.
The passport bros seem to be a hot commodity nowadays, so let's just go ahead and get straight
Oh, I love this one. She's the one that always mentions the BBC commander.
into it. These are the same men that you said you didn't want, didn't need, and they are broke. I'm going to be honest, going overseas to travel frequently and live does not equate to broke. But then again, this just simply speaks to the delusion and hypocrisy of women. These men have been very clear in their message. They've said time and time again they wanted wives, someone they could build with, start their family with, someone they could create a legacy with. What y'all heard was they wanted someone that they can control. Y'all minimize being a wife simply down to being a slave.
You know, and she's not acting, you know, like the way she's going about this speech, the way she's going through it, like she's upset. She's like truly understanding of what and why men want to do this.
Even so much as telling those other women overseas that they're uneducated and practicing sex tourism. And in turn, a lot of y'all have took your degree and traded it in for an OnlyFans profile. Nobody said anything when women were going to Dubai. We know why you were going. Nobody said anything when women were flying state to state getting flued out. We know what you were doing. Nobody say anything when Nigerian and Jamaican men needed green cards and y'all started falsifying marriage documents so you could drive your Range Rover with your red bottoms. Let's just call a spade a spade. Y'all wanted the option to go back to these men after the man that you really wanted was done dragging you through the mud.
I think a lot of people generalize the passport bros movement as the modern day version of the mail order bride, and they have this idea that all of the guys who are passport bros, they're just unattractive, they're fat, they're ugly, they're losers, and they can't get women.
Tell the truth, I've met a lot of passport bros. I cover a lot of passport bros, like their content and stuff. They're all decent looking men. I don't like, maybe a few men are like, you know, but most men are decent looking. Most men are pretty decently fit too. Like, we are not bad men as in partner wise. It's crazy that they see us as bottom of the barrel, you know, the dusties, because yeah, she's right. Traveling, living in another country, that shit ain't cheap.
In their home country, and so they're going to another country to find women that they think are going to have lower standards. And a lot of the videos that I've seen, they're all pretty young and they're pretty average looking, so they're not like Big Ed.
Yeah, I 100% agree with her.
I'm done.
At the same time, I don't think that the passport bros movement is a monolith. Do I think that there are men who are calling themselves passport bros, but they're going abroad to just party and to hook up with women and to objectify women and
100%.
live la vida loca? Yes, but I would say that those men are not passport bros. They're passport hoes.
Several bad puns later.
I would say that passport bros are largely a group of men who have been pushed out of the dating pool, and it largely has to do with feminism. This is why I believe that, you know, whether you agree with it or not, the passport bros movement was inevitable.
You know, I like how she used it. We were pushed out of the dating pool. Like we weren't struggling to get women. We weren't struggling or anything. No, we got pushed out because the dating pool is not what we're looking for. We are looking for a specific type of women. We're looking for a specific type of family. We're looking for a specific type of mother. And it's not available here. So we have to do what we have to do.
2,000 people in the tent. She gets up and she says, Patrick, this is very hard for me to say this. And let me tell you why it's very hard. I said, what's that? She says, ever since in high school, I wanted to prove to men that I can beat them. So when I graduated high school and college, I opened up my salon. We do very well. I've made millions of dollars. My people and my work that work at the salon, they do very well for themselves. I drive a nice car. I have a nice house. I have money. I have millions. I don't worry about any of that stuff. You know what decision I made last night? I said, what's that? She says, I want a husband. I no longer want to compete with men.
Yeah.
I need them. And I'm like, what? She's saying this in front of 2,000 people with her sister sitting right next to her. And now she's getting emotional. How many 65-year-old women do we have to hear saying that I marched with the feminist movement and I bought into the fact that men are the enemy? I'm 65 now. I've never been married. I don't have a single kid. I'm alone and I'm miserable. And I wish I would have never bought into that philosophy. This is why sometimes, Jed, in life, you have to be very, very, very careful whose philosophy you buy into. Because when you're in a web and you don't know you're in the web and you're caught up in this web, you don't lose a year. You don't lose 5 years. You can be bought into the wrong philosophy and lose 30 years of your life.
This is why I truly do not hate women. This is why I don't truly hate a lot of things. The movement itself was made to be this way. For women to go against it, it was nearly impossible for this to happen. This is why there's so many women that fit into this category. You know, yes, is it them for being susceptible? Yes, but a lot of them came from not so great homes. There's not so great homes nowadays, right? When they experience these bad things and then feminism pushes more, women are just going to get pushed into this category. And they might not even enjoy it, but they're indoctrinated into it so much they can't go back. Very few women can actually go back, apologize, and still be okay. Because why? We see it. Most of us won't give a fuck. We don't care. Once you were a feminist, you say you're not anymore, we look at you sideways, and question if this is actually true or if you're just a chameleon. So it's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of women.
Data predicts that 45% of women between ages 25 and 44 will be single and childless by the time 2030 rolls around. The number of single women in the U.S. is expected to rise 1.2% every year.
1.2% every year? That compound interest is crazy high.
We're told by our culture that a woman who is unmarried and has no children is empowered and in charge of her own life. She has escaped the unnecessary burden of raising a family and being a slave to her husband. At least, that's what our society has convinced us. Sadly, many women have adopted the modern feminist lifestyle and have chosen to sleep around, abort their baby if they unexpectedly get pregnant, and swear off marriage. But these cultural trends are going to have a tremendous impact on the future of the American society.
Average attractive male on Tinder gets swiped less than 1% of the time. And there's 3 men on Tinder for every 1 woman. So you've distilled it, you've taken out one of the key components of mating dynamics, and that is vibe, humor, body language, pheromones, the ability to be, quite frankly, a little bit persistent in the pursuit of a romantic relationship. We have no third places anymore, no places to meet. People aren't going to bars, they aren't sports league, they aren't going to church, they aren't even going to work. So it gets distilled down to very 1 or 2 dimensional attributes. And the reality is women are much choosier than men, and they can apply those screens, and they allocate all of their attention to a small number of men that results in just essentially at the end of the day, a lack of opportunities. Chris Williams summarized it perfectly. He called it the high heels effect. In the last 40 years, more women have graduated from college than men, and they're not interested in mating with non-college grads. They now own more homes, single women, than single men. So what you have is women say they won't date anyone shorter than them, 50% of them. Effectively, what you have metaphorically over the last 40 years is women have been getting taller and taller, and men have been getting shorter and shorter. How many of us have said, I know a ton of great single women, they can't find a date? That's not true. They can't find a date. They can't find a man they find economically or emotionally viable.
Are seeing a trend of women dating down, which means, a man who...
It's like, how sexist is that term of dating down? Women dating down. So they are dating beneath them. Who's they dating? Men. Men are beneath women. This is kind of the what they push when they say date down. But when men have always historically dated down, we've never said this. We've never dogged women. We've never put women like in such a light that they were horrible pics or something. But when women get the power, they get to just make it all about themselves.
Man, really? Who wrote that?
I mean, I say all that.
Jeez.
Disgruntled. This is just the reality of it. So women, you know, we're more educated now, and I think that we're furthering our education. So with that being said, we're going to hold off on the baby making. We're going to hold off until we get that great job, really career driven. And I don't think there's anything wrong with hoping that there's someone either on your level or higher than you.
So, okay.
Go ahead, Love Doctor.
All right. So before, right, it was okay when the man made more money to be the one to buy everything, to do, you know, treat you and all this other kind of stuff. And now that you make more money, you can't be that one, right? You can't be the one to pay for the meal and because you're dating down.
Whichever way you look at it, women have come a long way economically. And while all of these achievements are great, they have had unintended consequences on the dating market. Women in the West are hypergamous, meaning that they prefer to date up. So a woman with a college degree prefers to date a man with the same educational level or higher. Because less men are pursuing post-secondary education and graduating from post-secondary education, the dating pool is smaller. And it's even smaller if you're one of those girls who says that they won't date anyone who is shorter than 6 feet.
In this case, we wanted to see if anyone would pick 5'3".
I mean, shout outs to her. She's putting really damn good clips in here to really show why men are leaving. Like, give her some damn support, guys. Give her some support.
Rob. When Andrea told us women like doctors, we gave him an MD. Their choice?
Andrew.
It doesn't matter what the fuck he does. He's too short.
We piled on some more assets. We said besides being a doctor, he was also a best-selling author.
No, he's short and he's balding. Those are the two things women hate the fucking most.
And champion skier who just built his own ski house.
Does that affect your choices? He's still short.
Then we gave Rob a promotion. We made him chief of staff at a prestigious hospital.
Who would you pick, Kim?
Andrew's probably the closest to who I'd pick. I'd pick Matt. Jeffrey, the pilot.
What would it take? Now we said Rob was also a gourmet cook who loves children.
Oh, definitely. I would take him in a minute then. Height, no problem. I wouldn't, because I would think I don't want short little kids.
So given the current state of the dating market and given where we are culturally in the West, it's no surprise that the men who haven't given up on dating are just choosing to go abroad and try their luck somewhere else.
She's right. The ones that aren't fully MGTOW that still want to date are passport bros. There's nothing. We're the same group of people, except we're still willing to date, but not in the U.S. And MGTOWs are just not willing to date anymore until laws change. So men are just walking away in mass droves. This is a problem. It's a good thing that men are seeing their options, but it's a problem for society. It's a problem for the U.S. It's a problem for women in the U.S.
Many passport bros are digital nomads who earn a living working remotely. So they also have the added benefit of choosing to move to countries where their income can afford them a more luxurious and carefree lifestyle than they can afford in the West. And given the housing crisis, the cost of living crisis, open borders, mass immigration, there's a lot of reasons to leave the West.
How much money do you need to...
Them pushing agendas to your kids, that's probably one of the biggest reasons why, for me also. I don't want to raise kids here because I'm scared these people are gonna raise my kids a certain way, and you can't really stop it. You really can't. Media, especially if they're born here, immersed here, because all the other kids around here are gonna be in that media bubble, that chamber.
Earn to be considered rich here in the Philippines.
150,000 income every month. You would be able to maintain a car and have
3,000 a month. That's pretty decent.
To be able to have this rich lifestyle.
At the moment, I think the number of men who are leaving the West and not returning is still small enough that it's not having a meaningful impact.
I'll agree with her on that. Not yet, at least, but more and more people are getting passports. It is record high levels this year of people, especially men, especially African American black men, that are applying for passports. So things are changing and things are moving into that direction slowly.
on the population of Western countries, but the reason that this movement is growing in interest shouldn't be ignored.
If we don't make a massive investment in young people and make more economically and emotionally viable men, we're going to see a lack of household formation, we're going to see a decline in the middle class, and we're going to see, quite frankly, just a lot of young men who are terrible citizens.
So
we see that now. I see a lot of men that are terrible citizens. Why? YouTube is a big example of that. All those fuckers that are just pranking and just making people's lives miserable at work just to get clout and views. That's a lot of men out there.
is the answer to fix this economically, and who will champion this conversation? You felt obliged to compliment me at the outset because we had engaged on this a year ago, and here I am revisiting it. And I read into that the fact that you think that it's politically incorrect even to have this dialogue.
When you're seen as advocating for men because of the 300,000-year head start we've had, it seems somehow as anti-female. There's a lot of very unfortunate misogyny online that is masquerading as being pro-men. A lot of TikTok celebrities who talk about advocating for men, it's just thinly veiled misogyny. What do we need? We need more freshman seats in colleges. We need a massive investment in vocational training. We need to figure out a way to get more...
I love this, man. Yes, we need more investment in vocational training. I think a lot of trade is going to be a big deal in the future. We're going to need a lot of carpenters. We're going to need a lot of electricians. We're going to need a lot of, builders. It's necessary. And mostly men do these jobs, and we're not investing enough into these men and these careers because these tech jobs, all these fancy jobs are going to be taken away sooner or later by AI.
We're permitting for housing so young people can afford housing. We need to recognize our economic policies.
Houses now are close to $1 million. I live in Southern California, close to LA, not even that great of a city. I don't want to mention my city. Houses here are like $800,000 for like a 2, maybe 3-bedroom house with a 1-car garage, some yard. That's crazy. My friend just bought a house in San Diego, 1.2 mil, and it's a fixer-upper. He's been painting. He's been putting things out. He's like redoing the floors. He has to redo walls for 1.2, and it was built in like 1923. You're paying 1.2 for a 100-year-old house. Fuck.
Literally allocate wealth from young people to old people. The percentage of wealth that young people control under the age of 40 has been cut from 12% to 6%. These are concerted, deliberate decisions. We did away with the child tax credit. We don't want to make it any easier for people to have kids, but seniors just got their largest cost of living adjustment increase in history. We have made the decision to make it harder and more expensive for people to find.
And this is boomers' fault. I 100% agree that this is boomers' fault. Why? Because they're the ones in power. So they're going to keep all the funds and everything towards them but I don't blame them in a sense. Just that's just how things work, right? When a mass group of people grow up together, they're going to make laws that affect that mass group of people, like the boomers. So this is why they're making laws to make the boomers' retirement easier and more enjoyable, because there's so many of them and they control most of legislation. This is why more young people need to get into office so we can start pushing more for laws to affect more younger people instead of the older people. I don't know how that's going to happen. I'm not a politician myself. I don't think I'll ever be. Kudos to guys and women that want to do it. Like, good luck.
Find each other, for people to mate, and for people to have children. And without children, we turn into Japan and Italy, and that is we go into population decline and our economy goes into decline. We are about to become a society by the turn of the century. There will be 8 times as many people over the age of 60 and half as many kids under the age of 5. Nursery schools will become these strange situations with old people staring through fences at these creatures they don't see in the wild called children. Is this the world we want? Do we want a lack of kids? Do we want a lack of ability to create households? The happiest, most prosperous, most purposeful people in America are middle-class families. And we have made a concerted decision to punch it in the gut and make it harder for that type of family formation. And we're going to lose prosperity and we're going to lose purpose.
That's all I have for this video. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button if you are not yet subscribed.
Damn, that was some good ass chow. Good clips. Shout outs to Nessie for putting up this video. And she's with us. You know, she makes other videos. Give her a little shout out. You know, check her out. Pretty well spoken woman. Pretty logical in her take on Passport Bros. And I love it. More women, more people of all race and creed talking about it. That's all I want. It's just discussion. Keep talking about it, guys. Please like, subscribe down below. I really appreciate that. And catch you guys next time. Ciao.